Here's some botched up extra bits. Fries on the side.
I feel like Cactus Jack nearly died live on air, and I feel like he did it on purpose because that's what Mick Foley does.
He for sure did it on purpose. He put himself underneath that for a spot, and then everyone else panicked.
Rick Steiner was shitting himself, mate.
But you know Foley was always going to get out of the way.
I'm glad that he stopped when he did, because if this is his behavior in 1991, and we've seen his behavior in 1998, 2004, what would have 55-year-old Mick Foley done against 72-year-old Ric Flair?
If his body could still go right now, you know he would be doing some crazy shit.
What, purposely trying to squash himself under fake electric chairs?
Yep, that's just him. His audition tape to WWF. Well, you've read his
biography.
Yeah, his biography. He jumped off his own garage on some guy on a trash. Was it a trash can or a table? Yeah, he'd be doing that shit now if he could get away with it. If his body wasn't so fucked.
But is no match shit enough for him to think, oh no, I'm not going to try and risk my life for it?
Well, he lost half an ear on an untelevised house show.
At least it was on holiday in Germany. It's just in the back fuck of the American South on a match that people are groaning about in 1991. Oh no! Wait, you missed Bob Eaton holding a pumpkin and looking at it, and Missy Hyatt asks him a question. He says, "I'm going to celebrate. I've just won a match." And he looks at his pumpkin again and walks off alone.
What's he doing with that pumpkin?
I don't know. I wondered that for most of the next match. Doesn't this whole pay-per-view actually remind you of the fact that wrestling came from circuses?
Oh, yeah, completely.
This felt like a 3-hour circus show, really. It really did. They've somehow managed to get away from it in the modern era of making you realize that this is a carnival and you're called a mark because you're a mark in the crowd. But this everything, like all the gimmicks, all of the match stipulations, the way that they booked things, this was pure put me in a tent sort of vibe.
I mean, this could even be a positive, but I don't mean it as that. It was the variety on this show. There was just so much different stuff happening in a crazy, not very good way. It was like just coming at me from all sides, and I had no idea what was going on, just like a circus would be.
It's nice to know that Jim Ross wasn't salty just as he approached old age. Jim Ross has been salty if he doesn't like something since at least 1991.
I love him even when he's doing his job badly.
I've gone off Jim Cornette over this show because Jim Cornette keeps going on about how Jim Ross is taking the paycheck and feeling sad. But Jim Ross seemed to quite enjoy this Chamber of Horrors match. And 2 years later, Jim Ross was wearing a toga in his debut for WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace. I think Jim Ross just likes carny wrestling sometimes. Sometimes he wants a good match, and sometimes he'll just take whatever shit they feed him.
He loves it. He loves all of it, no doubt. He pretends he doesn't like the bullshit, but I reckon he loves it.
I think he does.
So I got myself so excited. That's when I was like, okay, I have to go to sleep now. I'm too excited to watch the rest of the show.
That was probably the worst thing you could have done. You could have, with the excitement that you generated from PN News' existence, you probably could have sailed through the rest of the show.
I don't know why it tickled me so much, but it just did.
Literally, the only thing I've got about this match is that as they go for the win, Big Josh jumps on PN News to sort of, I don't know, make the 3 count more or whatever.
Even though
Big Josh proper just stands on the back of PN News' neck.
And PN News is already a big guy.
Wait, I know. So originally I thought it was like somebody coming in for interference to get the 2 count, but no, it was just Big Josh jumping on his cousin. But he full on stood on the poor guy's neck, and PN News looked up a little bit if he could because his neck hurt now, just sort of looking at him, saying, "Why did you do that?"
Fantastic. I love it. I loved it. It wasn't the best match, but for some reason, I think it was my favorite match. But I think I made the excitement for myself.
Yeah.
So the next match we go into is Bobby Eaton versus Terrence Taylor. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't really concentrate on the first 5 minutes of this match because I was still obsessed with PM News.
I'm glad you got so much fun out of him.
But saying that, I think this match was match of the night for me.
See, I actually paid attention to it.
Well, that's
I just got to mention. Taylor. Terrence Taylor is advertised as the computerized man of the 1990s. There's a moving thing in my computer.
A moving thing?
There's genuinely like some sort of moving worm.
What? What? How much?
I was trying to ignore it. I was trying to say like.
How much have you had to drink?
One beer. There is a worm stuck inside sellotape on my laptop screen, and I was just going to try and carry on talking about Arn Anderson's tag team championships, but it's slowly maneuvering itself deeper into the crevices of the sellotape in my laptop right now.
What, it's going in the computer?
It's going in the sellotape in the computer, which is used to stitch together the computer screen.
You should probably get rid of it.
I think I probably should, but actually I can't really be bothered.
Okay, it's going to live there now. So overall, you're a 26-year-old in 1991. How do you feel about this Halloween Havoc?
Well, given the competition at the time, which is WWF, I feel like this would be really disappointing for me because WCW would be my alternative promotion that I would like watching because it was filled with actual wrestlers wrestling. So I think the Chamber of Horrors would have really wound me up as a 26-year-old in 1991. Especially because the internet and the world is not as open as it is now. Like, I would have to try and defend this bullshit to my mates in 1991. It's pretty difficult.
Yeah. And then following this, did you see the trailer for the next pay-per-view?
I just read Lethal Lottery.
The Lethal Lottery at Starrcade 1991. So this is... I literally watched this a while back, but I didn't. So there is a load of tag team matches throughout the entire show, and all the winners of those tag team matches go into a final Royal Rumble style battle royale in the main event.
Nice.
And that Starrcades are so weird, man. They were just a weird tournament gimmick every year.
Everything in WCW was pretty weird. I think that's mostly because nothing stuck. They never had any sort of planning and organization to make certain things feel the same. So from year to year, you could have the same name, but everything would be absolutely manic and weird in comparison to the year before.
Different, yeah. So who do you think wins the Battle Bowl Battle Royale at Starrcade? I'll give you 3 guesses, and you'll definitely get it.
Ron Simmons?
No.
Sting?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it would make sense for either of those two, but Sting really needed something to do coming out of this.
I'm not sure I'm going to watch that one. Why did the chair drop down like 5 minutes into the match? Why was it not there to begin with?
Probably because they had taped it at the top with duct tape and somebody had to pull the duct tape off to take it down. I have no idea. Do you really think that if they can't get their handle working properly, then they could get their entire electric chair down from the ceiling?
You think it was actually a real production issue? They were like, we can't get the chair down. Fuck it, just start the match. We'll get the chair down.
No, I would assume that they put the chair down 5 minutes in to give them some time to build some heat. But that's also impossible when you've got 8 men thrown together for no reason in a tiny cage with random fuckers turning up everywhere. I really hope that this was a playset, because even down to the entrances, it feels like this was built for a very long commercial to sell a kid for Christmas.
What a fucked up playset, though.
Are you telling me that you wouldn't want one? I don't know. I had a backstage playset where you could dunk a wrestler's head into a toilet, and then there would be like a little button in the toilet that would go, ah!
That's funny. This is an electric chair. That's not funny.
I guess there's a little bit of difference there.
Yeah, like the whole shark cage thing that we had two of those matches like 3 years ago just so they could sell the playset.
This is also in an electric chair in a country that still uses electric chairs.
I don't think they could have got away with this match if they did it in a state that had outlaw executions. Chains handcuffed to the cage. There was coffins that a few people in black masks jumped out of.
That was one dude. So can we talk about this dude for a second? Halfway through, or no, like 5 minutes in, Shivani says, there's a guy he thinks that there is a guy that's jumped out of the cage, out of the coffin, because the camera didn't catch it. And then they cut to a camera shot of a coffin lying on the floor with no man in a mask to be found. and then Shivani's like, maybe I didn't see that. And they just carried on talking. And then about 10 minutes later, you see the poor guy again, chained to the cage, looking helpless and like unconscious. What do you reckon, Ben? Do you think that this was like a random dude, like who I don't know, was trying to make his big mark against all of these famous dudes? Do you reckon he was like standing in the dark in his coffin, thinking this is my big time,
and then just didn't get any TV time at all?
Oh no, he got beaten the fuck out of and chained to a cage. This was his big moment.
Was he meant to be like on someone's team? Was he like a run-in, or was he just like another expendable weapon?
See, the thing is, they never explained who he was fighting or why, and we never really saw any shots of him. So he either actually didn't exist and they were just playing mind tricks on us, or I would assume he's part of the match gimmick, like he's one of the implements of torture. I'm not sure whether I'm just getting old, but whole pay-per-views in one sitting are a massive slog now.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I mean, no, I'm serious. It doesn't matter what era it's from or what we're watching. I have to take regular breaks and regular naps and regular... I can't do it otherwise.
This is the way you said it. You have to take naps. Like you're 70 years old.
Oh, come on then.
Right, so we cut backstage to the Young Pistols. Never heard of them. They won a match with the US Championship, the Patriots. Never heard of them either. And just the names and the costumes are so 80s wrestling. It's unbelievable.
One of the guys said, "Take a look at the new Sons of the South, baptized on 100 proof and raised by the blood of the Lamb."
Great stuff.
Yeah. We haven't talked about the most important part of this show so far. I can't believe that we haven't got to this point.
The ref cam.
The ref cams.
The amount of feet that we saw in wrestling matches was great if you're a feet guy.
Apparently, this is how the ref stares. They just look at the footwork. That's why. No, but Ben, this is why that they can never see what's going on behind them, or somebody pulling the hair, or the managers. This is living proof that referees just look at the floor, which is why all the bad guys get away with everything all the time.
Could I just say a really horrible joke?
Go on.
It looks like those helmets that handicapped kids have to wear.
It's true, man. I was going to go with bike helmet, but...
No, it's the ones you have to wear when you're in a wheelchair.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't a good look for the refs here.
But you got to give WCW credit. They tried something very new and inventive.
Oh no, I agree with you. The aesthetic wasn't great, and we finally realized why refs never see anything.
We saw so many people's feet every time we cut to that camera. The ref was looking down. Maybe it was just the way the camera was angled on the helmet or something.
No, I think it's why it explains why every referee you ever see on TV looks like they've been picked out of the back of a farm. It's because they have. They're just pushed out and given a shirt. Anyway, Pillman got the win out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
After being hyped to be like a long brewing professional match. We missed the finish because we went back to dopey ref. It was okay match, but this is when my girlfriend got in from work. She just sort of looked up. She wasn't like particularly paying much attention to the match, but she was like, "What's that stuff on Brian Pillman's elbow?" I was like, "I don't know." And then they showed a replay, and Pillman comes off the top so hard that somehow he manages to pull out Ricky Morton's hair with his elbow.
Ooh!
After the match, Pillman has still got hair on his elbow from Ricky Morton's head.
Ooh, that sounds painful.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds rough.
I didn't even notice it. Because you're so used to just like sticky wrestlers having bits of shit on their elbow.
Sticky wrestlers. And then JR says, pretty boy Doug Summers is a legit veteran of however many years, and then he looks like absolute fucking shit. And I don't mean in a kayfabe sense where he didn't get any offense in. I mean, he botched 2 moves. He legit just fell over at one point.
Oh, dude, there was a scary part where he stacks it, and he nearly like went full on into the ring apron because he just sort of fell over.
By God, was he jacked, man?
So jacked, bro.
Damn!
Both these guys were, though.
Yeah, but Ron Simmons was noticeably like twice the size than what he was in the late 90s.
I'm pretty straight, and I really enjoyed the aesthetic of these two massive dudes sweating on each
This was
other,
a Vince match. 2 massive guys just, bam, smashing into each other.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Vince emasculated Lex Luger when he got to WWF by pretending to give him the championship and then not. Maybe it's because he missed the sweat of the WCW days and he wanted him in the company because he wanted to like just stare at him. So by the time he got there, it was too late because he already had his new Jack guy.
Lex Luger was able to do the pole driver and get the win. Do you know what he calls his pole driver?
What?
The attitude adjuster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Well, apparently it worked out for John Cena, all right, but I wouldn't have stolen a finisher off of Lex Luger, particularly.
Well, it's just the name, isn't it? But
Yeah.
John Cena called it the attitude adjustment.
I'm sure somebody in WWE's office just picked one of Lex Luger's old finishers and thought nobody would notice.
Over the last couple of months while we've watched early 90s stuff, I've kind of enjoyed a few Lex Luger matches, but I've never been massively impressed with him. He seems to be somewhat like Dolph Ziggler, where like he doesn't do anything wrong, but just nothing he does is crazy exciting.
Luger's a bit problematic because I've seen a lot of Lex Luger matches across a lot of different promotions at this point, and people always say that he was a terrible professional wrestler, and that's not true. Because Lex Luger has had some great matches, probably not in WWF, where most people know him from, but his earlier WCW matches and some of his later ones as well were really, really good. The problem with Lex Luger is I think you've hit the nail on the head with Dolph Ziggler there. He's really good when he can be bothered. When he can't be bothered, he will put no effort in, and thus he will not get anywhere. And I think this is a big reason as to why Vince changed his mind about Lex Luger winning the WWE Championship in 1993. Lex Luger is hit or miss not because of his own wrestling ability or his charisma, because he has both. It's just whether he can be bothered to be in the room on any given night.
Remember when we were talking about Ric Flair and I watched that really weird Starrcade where it was just 4 guys having the same 3 matches?
Yeah.
Lex Luger put on a fantastic match with Sting. Maybe one of the best Lex Luger matches I've ever seen. But then he also had a match with Great Muta that was just an absolute dud in the same night.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's probably like, I've got one big match coming up, so I'm not going to put much effort into this one. That's kind of how Luger felt. He feels like such wasted potential because he's spent most of his career being a little too lazy, and thus he's never gotten the push that he really deserves. I really need to get this caterpillar off my laptop now. It is an actual real thing. It's actually really nasty. It looks like an earwig.
I'm keeping that in.
I've been staring at it. I've been staring at it for the last half an hour while we've been talking.
That's the sign off.
Like, share, and subscribe to keep it botched up, brother. Like, share, and subscribe to keep it botched up, brother.